Hi, hello, welcome to the Galactic Consularship Report brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene, Priestess of Love. I'll be your oracle today. I was sent to deliberate the findings for the 8-8 Stargate portal. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. You belong to Welcome Home. Vertex of Abundance is the Galactic Temple of Ascension. We deliver sacred messages from behind the veil. We'll be using the Thoth Tarot by Aleister Crowley, illustrated by Lady Frida Harris, published by U.S. Game Systems. If anything resonates deeply with you, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, leave a review, book a session, send a donation. We'll also be using some other decks to clarify or modify the guidance that we impose today. The times that those decks are required to come out, I'll announce then. I just want to say a quick prayer for all those still lost out there to illusion, delusion, confusion, lost in the seas of time, trapped somewhere in the matrix, yet to heal, yet to awaken, yet to return to the resplendent grace of the divine, unconditional love and universal oneness. Upon we love you. We're sorry. Please forgive us. Thank you. We ask that our steps be ordered, that our path be illuminated, and that we find salvation and redemption in this lifetime. May we be well, may we be happy, may we be at peace, may we be whole, may we receive everything we ever wanted, starting with what we deserve. So we have a little tiny bit of the energy already out. Let's go ahead and cast the descending energy. I'm hearing that Suzanne Vega song. So we're actually casting the ascending energy. It was at Tom's Diner. So somebody's clocking us. They're counting our moves. They're counting our steps. They might be counting our blessings. I am thinking of your voice. Okay, so there is some kind of manifestation coming when we have the sun and the wheel of fortune. I'm hearing the word judgment. I was going to say justice is not true. Judgment is not true. So that means we're dealing with just it's the Sephirah that Jupiter is kind of there. The angel, the archangel, Zadkiel, Tzadkiel. Sometimes they dispel it with a Z instead of a TZ. Zedek is like a righteous priest or a priest of righteousness, a priest of peace. And that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm sensing. That's what I'm seeing. This is also a double 10. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So we're getting like a double 10. Which means culmination. Some cycle is completing. So it also means that the gate is opening up here, that something can pull through, come hard, come harder, come forth, stand on business, handle up on things, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally. It can also talk about the incarnational cycle when we have the sun and the, okay, I'm hearing fortuna, la ruota, okay, and it's just right here. So there's something being worked out, okay? These correspond to this. These cards clarify this card. There's something being worked out. Desire, ninth. Collaboration, cooperation, co-creation. It also can be Kabbalistic, whether it's a dark cabal, some type of clique coven cabal kind of issue, deal, or whether it's ascending, descending, self-initiation, spirit initiation, physical initiation. It can be joining a school, a circle, an actual organized system, whether it's spiritual, physical, material, whether it's, chivalry order, social order, fraternal order, secret order, and be one that bestows power, so most likely spiritual in its nature, and it's probably from the spirit, to be honest. And since we're talking about a cycle and where we're having courage, where we're standing up to things, where energy is going to come through, pull through to bolster or complete, especially incarnational cycles that need to be tied off, ascended, completed, things that have been on the precipice, things that have been at the threshold, things that have been at the gate, they're going to kind of resolve themselves, culminate, smooth themselves out, move on, transcend to the next step, to the next stage. Something's going to be finality as well, putting a period, closing a book, closing a chapter. Now, it's not the whole thing. So I just say put a period. Deep, theme, deep. I'm getting that. But offering. Offering. It's oblation, offering. But yes, okay, so clarifying the sun, we have, okay, so the Knight of Pentacles, going back, the Knight of Pentacles also could be something that has to deal with becoming initiated, stepping into, being on the journey of. So stepping into would be some type of practical skill, material, a blessing. On the journey of to becoming adept at a practical skill. We've been learning or dealing with things step by step, day by day. Normally, it would be a series, a journey that was rife with delays, obstacles. It might have even been grunt work, lots of elbow grease. But this was like, there were multiple parts and multiple moving parts and multiple different sections and multiple parties that we had to work through. It seems, I'm hearing the word multiphasic. And is that seventh heaven? I don't think it is. Step by step, day by day. It's not. It's that. I think it's Family Matters. I don't actually know. Feel free to comment below. I think it's Family Matters. But I'm also hearing that seventh heaven. And there is an offering here. I'm getting a lot of Venusian and lunar energy. It's well hidden though. You need to understand a few mysteries here, which does require initiation. So that's the thing with the Knights. The Knights are about initiation. Moving on to the descending triad here, we have clarifying the Sun card. We have this. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. I seem to keep going back. The Knight of Pentacles is initiation in terms of a practical skill. Knight of Swords is initiation in terms of a technical skill, something that requires supreme power, authority, intellect, reason, communication, standards and boundaries, or some type of accreditation. Okay. With the Pentacles, it's more acumen. So we do have a double Knight here. It's called a pairing. So to clarify the pairings, today we'll be using the minor arcana from Cosmic Coven Tarot, as I said, to clarify, deliberate the findings around pairings, as I said. When we have two Knights, it can be a conflict or a convergence of some kind. Really more, it's a duality right now. There's a dyad here, and it seems like something's becoming lockstep or it's handling up. And when we have the Wheel of Fortune, it often means that something's coming out of the wheel. You know, the Knights actually represent the four beings around the wheel. So we have a ministering angel and an order of the thrones here. So there's some type of judgment, edict. There might even be, and I did hear the word judgment early on. Okay, so yeah, Seven of Cups. So we have a lot of things here that we could be talking about. So the Seven of Cups, we're going to need a little more clarity. But the overall situation, the overall energy here is Seven of Cups. A projection, a mirage, an illusion, some type of supplication of a reality. It literally, Seven of Cups tells you that you need to scrutinize the reality. when there's Venus present, oftentimes scrutiny is needed. Now, it does have a lot of negative connotations, and the only positive connotation from the Seven of Cups is that you've conjured something up, or there's an experience, or something is visceral, emotive, evocative, even. Because typically the lesson in the Seven of Cups is to walk away. I know one of those cups has jewels or whatever. I would say, I was trained that by spirit, really. I was trained that, yes, something's been conjured up, something's been offered, something's at the table, but you need to walk away. Come back another time, if at all. Usually not. Because it typically means something's rife for manipulation in terms of a mirage, an illusion, you know, illusion, delusion, confusion. Something could be living in sin, which is sideways, missing the mark, because it's facade, it's glamour, it's mirror. It could even be smoke screen or gaslighting here. It could talk about an experience though. So this experience would be multiple options, because on our end, we have this Two of Cups, Two of the Copa, and we also have a Two of Pentacles for the shared energy, which means attending to a situation. In the higher realm, we have the Four of Wands, and we have the Four of Swords on if we're dealing with another side. If it's not, this would be the astral. So in the spirit, there's some type of platform, pulpit, throne, or there's a sacred union. And we need to have a sacred union with ourselves. We need to be vibing right, living rightly, righteously, thinking highly. Because we've got a pair of twos and a pair of fours here. A pair of twos means partnership, not union. And then a pair of fours means moving something to the next stage. Normally it'd be suppress, repress, oppress, depress, which we might have felt and then we came out of. But the Four of Wands makes it positive. So when we have a pair of fours that includes the ones, that means moving to the next step, whatever it is. If you're dating, now you're official or steady. If you're steady, now you're living together. If you're living together, now you're engaged. If you're engaged, now you're married. If you're married, now you're buying your first house. If you're buying your first house, then you're having first child. If you're having your first child, then you're sending the kid off to school. If you're sending the kid off to school already, now you're retiring or having a grandchild. You see, it's whatever the next stage is, that's what a pair of fours. So translation, all of this together. We're turning the corner. Growth, expansion, vitality, renewal, reinvigoration, enumeration as well with the sun. The solution is coming and healing is here. We've been going on this journey, receiving a spiritual gift, or learning about our authentic self, our authentic self, our true nature. And that's clear enough these days for us to kind of move on, go on, carry on, to move forward, carry forward, whatever that looks like, however, whatever, so on and so forth. And some details about how that looks like is we have the acumen to discern, to scrutinize, to clarify, to divide fact from illusion. We know how to work with whatever's going on, and the onus is not so much on other people or what they're doing, because we have enough trust in ourselves to be able to navigate, negotiate, participate, remain present with whatever circumstance and situation. So there's a strength to move into alignment, and the alignment is going to have to be a calling. Whatever little piece of the divine, God, source, creator, whatever, what have you, whatever technology we interface, Buddha, Allah, Shekinah, Jehovah, Pachamama, don't matter, don't care. Yehoshua. We're going into what is the destined calling on our life, which is that we took this long. We took a while to move through, get through. There were some things we had to learn. We were kind of under the tutelage, or there was a plan, whether we knew it or not. And, it would have kind of culminated just recently, but over the last 3 months, something was becoming very clear. We worked through a lot of things, or a couple few things. Some details on the things that we worked through. Something is starting out, and I kept almost, when we were doing the clarification for the pair of knights with this Cosmic Coven Tarot by Lisa Lazenby over at Ripe Avocado, we had the pair of fours. It was the Four of Wands and the Four of Swords. I kept wanting to say the Four of Cups. If you listen again, I was kind of slow in saying this four, this four. I finally said of Wands, but I kept hearing the Four of Cups, which tells me that something's at the threshold, at the precipice, is at the gate. It's not just about wanton, lewd lasciviousness. It's not just about lukewarm, placid, tepid. It's not just about uninteresting, underwhelming, unconcerning types of energies. It's not just about something being on the back burner, rejection, etc. It could also be apathetic, being in a sunken place. It also just means something that we're alive in terms of vibration, something from our frequency, energy, vibratory field has kind of come to the threshold, and we need to give consent, assent for it to cross the line and step inside, step through the door. That's the threshold. And it's something that is promised for us, or granted to us, gifted to us by the divine. When we have Jupiter and the Sun, or Jupiter and Mercury, there's a manifestation cycle coming. And right now, by the way, this last couple days of July and agosto, August, we have Jupiter conjunct Venus, I believe in Gemini. So now we have the Queen of Wands, Three of Wands, clarifying this magician. Bajeto is telling us with this Three of Wands that something's already started. We have some kind of vision, but we're needing expansion. We're needing franchise purchase. We're needing a sign. The Judgment card or the Three of Wands is always like a sign, a confirmation, some kind of, it could be a read receipt. It could be a confirmation from the universe, from some kind of working. We could be at an altar with this Four of Cups, above the altar, or the 7 or 9 glasses of water with this 9 of Cups, lighting candles, saying prayer. Because over these last, what did we just have? I believe it was a new moon. So we're gaining this perspective or collection, like recollection, as the full moon, as the moon waxes, gets fuller. We're going to finally be like, oh, okay, the blinding flash of the obvious has been standing right there, waiting right there, looking at me, coming for me, coming for me, coming for me, run, come, run. It's been right there for me to, recognize. Perceive, really, because we've been sitting under perception. Now we have perspective. We see things from a higher vantage point, or from the opposite side. I think we gain a vantage point, or an advantage in general. Because we're wanting some type, needing, queens are needs. We're wanting some type of confirmation, really. We're wanting to understand that we have franchise purchase autonomy. Because we are highly blessed, favored, chosen, and anointed with this Empress and this 9 of Cups. Yeah, so this truth, the strategy, the tactic, the cunning, it comes to bear. We have the Seven of Swords and the Six of Cups clarifying this Chariot card. So yes, there could be triumph, victory. We're receiving anointing. Sixes are receiving anointing as the cups. Because there is either receipt or cunning strategy tactic. We get the truth, but it's delivered to us through going through some kind of experience. And I know that's the Seven of Swords, which means that we might have needed to sit in self-interest. And with all that Venus energy we just left, we could have needed permission or assent from the universe to justify our reason to have self-interest. But that's also the thing. I think we recognize that we need all of these things. We need all these experience. We need all these attributes. We need all these traits within ourselves before we start trying to give them to other people. If we want to love on somebody else, we need to be self-loving. If we want to provide peace and security for somebody else, that's something we need to give to ourselves. That's the kind of Lionsgate portal way to be, because it's about strength. It's about holding the gate open. It's about coming through, pulling through, coming hard, standing on business. Even if it's a spiritual matter, it doesn't always mean, waging war and, saving the princess out of the tower. We don't need Rapunzel to let down her hair. We need to find strength, courage, and wisdom and emotional fortitude. Something's going to be revealed in a week, and it's our platform. So if we had some kind of center of power or some type of union with the universe, with the world, with the community that we serve, with the public eye, or a union like a one-on-one union, filial or congenial, a best friend, a lover, a marriage partner. Four of Wands is the throne, the pulpit, the platform, or the sacred union. We will be having some kind of revelation. Okay, so there's a song in the background going on. It's called Avoid Things by Thames, T-E-M-S. The name of the album is If Orange Was a Place, and the name of the song is Avoid Things. That's the anthem for this Stargate portal, 8-8 Stargate portal, the Lionsgate portal. We really need to listen to that song. Take it in layers, take it in chunks. It's rich, it's deep. It might not seem like that. That's the next thing you're going to want to do after this video. You're going to want to stand secure in yourself, find strength, courage, and wisdom, emotional fortitude. You're also going to want to look into that album, Thames, T-E-M-S. The name of the album is If Orange Was a Place, the name of the album. And then the name of the song is Avoid Things. That's what I'm getting. I've heard several different pieces of that song during this transmission. Because we're going towards broadening our horizons. And we need to get out of the construct of our reality, whatever it looks like. That's what that Seven of Cups was talking about. There's a truth that's right in front of us. It's been given to us. It's been around us. It's hiding in plain sight. We just haven't perceived it correctly. That's what the Seven of Swords is saying. We are going to need to make some shifts, some changes to our perception. That's what this Five of Pentacles is saying, that we need to make some changes in order to honor the agreement with the divine, but also in order to kind of enter into sanctuary, heaven on earth. We could have those things that we're waiting for in the afterlife, most of them, with the shift in consciousness. We need to change around our thinking or our belief system or our philosophy. It's an ideology that we have that needs to shift. And that's what this broadening horizons. And getting to this place, we will have culminated, completed something, because we will be breaking out, breaking free in a week or so. So we keep getting timing here, and it's talking about a week from now, and it's also talking about a week ago, and it's also talking about at the last moon and the next moon. Those are the two. So a week ago was the new moon, and a week from now will be the full moon. And what's been going on is we've been finding out the things that are aligned with us, that come easy to us because they're in alignment with the past path. And we're also beginning to understand what we've been putting our energy, effort, attention into that's really not working. Where we're hitting kind of a brick wall, banging your head against the wall, where things are actually becoming difficult because they're not aligned properly. We have another pairing here. Now it's a pair of nines. And we have the Hierophant coming out with the Five of Wands, which means bringing order over chaos. There is something low down, dirty, and either demonic or criminal in this energy. And let me just translate that. It would mean that we're dealing with some kind of energy that turns us away from the divine. The divine is like a seven virtues that we can instill in our heart as a human. So I'm looking to speak directly to one thing here. There's some type of ego or pride, and it could be manifesting as hard-headedness, stubbornness. Five of Wands. Typically, Five of Wands means low down, dirty shame, frankly. Not infamy or anything like that. That's a different five. This is more about like bottom of the barrel, basic, plain, ordinary, common, because somebody has those things in them that bring down their vibration. Contestation, competition, confrontation, crossings, conundrums. It's a karmic lesson, really. And that's why some things have slowed to a halt. And I'm hearing that we literally need to ask the divine or tap into that part of us that's divine. Because the divine is alive in us. We don't necessarily need to look outside ourselves for answers, but we need to go to this humble, prostrating place, which is typically why we interface with God, source, creator, whatever energy resonates, take it as it resonates, whatever technology we use. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, clarifying this pair of nines. A pair of nines means, so we had a pair of tens in the major, so that's a culmination. A pair of nines is a completion. Meaning the next step is to move into a new cycle, but we've done everything we can in this cycle. And the universe, Three of Swords, is telling us specifically there's things that we need to pay attention to. The delays, the dispersal, the disruption, the death, the decay. It's for a reason. If we're dealing with another person, it's because either they haven't recognized to collaborate, cooperate with us, or because we've been triangulated by another person and there's disharmony and dissent here. Because there may be some rejection. Somebody else might be working on something with somebody else, and they should be working on something with us. And we might have been waiting on this person to come back around, to turn around. It doesn't have to be romantic or relational. It could even be a cooperation in terms of business, or honestly, there's another look on it, and it's much more spiritual. The divine could be trying to assist us. The Three of Pentacles very much can be heavenly or divine assistance, angelic assistance. Not angelic protection like we see in the Seven of Wands, but angelic assistance, Three of Pentacles. Yet we're in our free will. We have this stinking thinking Five of Pentacles, Three of Swords. We're in our, in order to accept the truth, we're going to have to go through a couple of the stages of guilt or grief. And that's slowing us down to a crawl, so much so that manifestation has kind of stood still. Because with the Hierophant here, we do need to go with God, not necessarily let go, let God, not necessarily surrender, sacrifice. And God doesn't necessarily need to be higher power. It's generator, operator, destroyer. What is the system structure foundation? What are the means, mechanisms, methodologies? What are the theories, techniques, technologies? And how is that systematized and organized? That's really the lower vibration of this card. There is an established system here, and it might be wholeness. Have we had that epiphany? Have we had that awakening when something is called out to us? And it's not the little tiny knocking at the door from our intuition. The universe has already said to us kind of loudly what's not working. It would have been about a week ago, and we have until the full moon, or a few days after the full moon, to get in line, to yield. Yeah, it would have been a creative new idea or something new to try. Because his energy is back again. That we have that double four again. So that can be suppressed, repressed, oppressed, depressed because of something we're doing. We're suppressing ourselves because the universe is trying to work with us for once a sacred union. And the onus is on us. We need to shift our energy around because we're being prepared for some type of material blessing, but that means we need to be on the journey to realizing whatever practical skill we have. There is some type of knowledge, actual, factual, practical. Yeah, a reality is getting stripped in some kind of way. Five of Cups is the bursting of the bubble. It's needing to deal with grief, or there's going to be remorse later on. So we need to mourn some type of ground that we were standing on. We need to move on, move forward. We might be being a stick in the mud. Curmudgeony. Very stubborn. I'm hearing the word calcitrant. I don't know if that's appropriate. Grant me a moment. Yes, recalcitrant. Because this is taking an oath, a vow. We need to reaffirm or double down, not what we've been doing already, but on something that we stopped doing. I feel that whatever is not working lately, these past few weeks, is because we've fallen out of our system, out of our structure, out of our routine. Let's clarify. We'll be using the Vita Sibilla Daily Oracle by Los Scarabeo to clarify any correlative or corresponding energy. When we have the Hierophant, La Papa, and the Il Justizio, the Judgment card, here it's called the Aeon. That means taking an oath, a vow. Usually it's an oath of sacred office. Yeah, so actually the universe already knows what we need. And the thing with Letterato, the artist, it could also be that there's a small blockage. Somebody has a little bit of leverage or authority, and it's the universe. Remember, we had the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles present with the Knight of Swords means that we've already been told what to do, Knight of Swords. And it's on us to do administering angel, Knight of Pentacles. This is the order of the cherubim here. So it's a protector of sacred space. So we were already given what we need, some kind of order. And it is about a duty, duties, obligations, God duties and obligations, the Hierophant. And I'm another warning, maybe let's hope it's not a shot across the bow. Maybe though, with this Illustrated. I can't say it. So I do feel like there might have been conditioning and programming or some Strigheria, Benedetti, Santeria, Brujeria. Who knows? I don't want to speak to that. There might be some malevolent influences. Because if we're off path suddenly and we're normally dutiful, that could be a malicious or malevolent or malignant influence present, whether it's spiritual or otherwise. Not all witchcraft is abracadabra, hocus pocus, lighting candles at the altar. Sometimes it's just somebody weaving lies and stories and distracting us. And gaslighting is a form of witchcraft that's not always spiritual in its intention. It is in its nature. It's that demons are narcs or demons. So I don't want to go that far because those things got mentioned. Oh, just for a second. But we do have the Five of Wands, which gives everything a negative connotation, which means we're being hunted or stalked in some kind of way. There's an energy attached to us that's trying to revert all of our manifestations. And it wants us to be ensnared by some kind of illusion, delusion, confusion. It wants us to believe a reality that's being projected on us. And there's something here where we need to take a stand. But honestly, there might be an evil eye. I didn't recognize the Five of Wands here gives everything a reverse meaning. Because the thing that negates the Five of Wands would be the Judgment, because Saturn is there, or I know zodiac-wise it's Pluto, but astrologically it is Saturn and Jupiter aspecting positively the 11th house. So when we have the Five of Wands with the Hierophant, it means bringing order over chaos. And the way it looks like that, when you give it a positive 10, it says that some kind of malicious, malignant, malevolent energy, entity, ideology is backfiring. It's been returned to sender. We've been sitting in the energy long enough where we have clarity, and they're dogged. They keep doing it, so it's just compounding whatever's going to happen. Up until recently, we were our own worst enemy, or we were sitting in an energy frequency vibration, maybe some negative emotion. It could be some of the nastier ones, or something that's just rather mild, lack of hope, faith, optimism, poor self-talk. I don't want to go too spiritual with the negative. We've come out of it, and now something's beginning to backfire because we've contained a situation, is what I'm hearing with this Four of Swords, clarifying the Amante. Okay, so I'm getting Strigetta Benedetti since I'm speaking Etruscan here. You know, this with this card here tells me that there might have been some shape shifting. There can be a collective, intentional or unintentional. Doesn't always mean somebody's getting together in a clique and cabal, although actually it's very true and it's been confirmed. I don't want to go there. It's the wrong spread to talk about that, but the energy is coming through. So I don't have the clarity that I need. But we have this triangulation coming. And it's out of a clique and cabal. It can be a collective. It can be unity, community, partnership. So it can be somebody close to us, whether they're blood related or not. I'm not getting coworker, but it is some kind of low vibrational collective energy. Dalalante means these are people that don't take the high road. They could be missing on a lot of opportunities because they're stuck on stupid in some kind of way. Stupid is not unintelligent, and actually means doing the wrong thing over and over and over and over again. There's a better option has been presented, but they're not doing it because of convenience or because of acumen, or it's not even derelict or inept. In this instance, it's a kind of laziness, delirious. They're going because of how they feel, but an easier wrong is not a harder right, and you either pay an ounce of discipline or a ton of regret. So you both are going to be hard. You choose your hard. This is what the collective has not yet to see, because they had us contained in some kind of spot. But we're coming out of that because of the Jupiter energy right now. Saturn has done something interesting as well. I believe it is still retrograde. We are soon going to come to understand a wound that we had. We might not have been well received in a certain place or space. We might have been misattributed in a place or space. There's been a karmic cycle that we've healed. So we went through the fire, we went through the dark, we went through the trial and tribulation, and we came out because we were doing our thing. Doesn't mean that the negative energy influence didn't work on us for a couple few days, for a couple few weeks, for a couple few months. Even for a couple few years, we might have thought worse about ourselves than we actually were. We might have gotten down and stayed down for a little bit too long. We might have learned a lesson and kept on going through the mud instead of moving on to the next. We might have sat down and hung around the malarkey, the malaise, the harp and haranguing. Something spiritually here, I'm just going to say this and move on. Something spiritually here is harping and haranguing. It's yelling and yodeling. It's whining and wailing. It's quabbling and quibbling. It's doing the most. And it's some type of entity, energy, ideology. I'm feeling it's an attachment from some low vibrational entity. It can be projected on us. We had enough projection to know that it could have been projected on us from another, entity, energy, ideology. Can be an enemy, meaning a person, place, or thing, a being. And when the attachment came out, it wasn't that dark, which means we came through it already. But it was from the evil eye, because we have the Nine of Wands and the Nine of Swords. That's straight up evil eye. The only thing worse than that would be the Devil and the Nine of Wands, or the Devil and the Nine of Swords. Devil and Nine of Swords means attachment. Devil and the Nine of Wands means evil eye. Now, it might as well have been because the Five of Swords was there. I mean, the Five of Wands, excuse me, the Five of Wands was there, but it was negated. So it's either or. It's kind of half in, half out. It's kind of half yes, half no. Which, why don't we just have a decisive answer? Because this is a general reading. Take it as it resonates. If it's not current and ongoing, it was past and already over. That's kind of how this is reading. This is going to be different for different folks. Same energy is going to manifest different according to our level of healing and awakening, depending on, okay, because we've made it in. There's something that we needed to get through to get inside, and to get inside was the Holy Grail, meaning the depths of our soul, our authentic self, our true nature. The calling on our life, which also would come from the blood. It's the blood that speaks. It's the blood that remembers. It's biblical. And let's move on. There was a karmic cycle, 10 of Wands. We healed and came through this, by the way. However, over the next 6 weeks, we're going to realize that there is some kind of union, communion, partnership that's either being triangulated or that is binding us. We need to let go of certain things, certain people, certain places. This card, if it's not unity, communion, and partnership, it's environment, surrounding, and location. It's not always people, places, and things. It could be either or, though. It's just not both. So if it's people, places, and things, we're being. I wanted to say the word binding, but I heard stripped. The Five of Pentacles has already come out. If it's environment, surrounding, location, we're not going to grow there. Currently, right now, however, we're dealing with some type of need to contain a situation, which means that there was a wounding, a trauma. Three of Swords is an active trauma. Four of Swords is the post-trauma. Trauma is really just an experience that didn't have an empathetic witness. It doesn't necessarily mean whatever happened to us, the event itself, but how we walked away from the event and what it left with us. Because trauma always requires a higher level to cope and to move on and to grow and to heal. Meaning, wherever we were in our level of development, when we met that experience, it left something there that we need to resolve in order to be efficient going on and going forward. But there should be a creative new beginning, but this is going to come from, okay, so the Devil is here, and it comes out with the Strength card. We'll talk about that next. So again, we need to have discernment, and actually we're going through great karma right now with the Justice card. Okay, and trust completely went away. So we did go through something that was manufactured. It was probably craft work or something rather toxic. I don't know. It's different for different folks, also culturally. Okay, darling? So let me say this. Over the last 2 months, we got to the bottom of something. I also want to say, though, over the last 2 months, some kind of energy was projecting itself towards us, whether it was a construct in the reality, whether it was a system of colonization or control, meaning mother, daddy, teacher, preacher, or history books, science books, religious books, some type of system of, systemic conditioning was no longer effective. We needed to grow out of it. Whether it was walking away, moving away, if it was a current person in our life, or maybe it was a device that was left or implanted from a previous time in our life, probably developmental, meaning distant past. This is saying Let me see. Okay, so back to, we had a moment. Oh, okay, so the Justice card here, let me talk about that since it's no melancholia, malangria, negroso, no brujeria, santeria. This is saying that we came into alignment. We met, we went back to the eternal kingdom. We did all the things that the divine wanted us to do. So we're in alignment, and whatever's going on is karmic. However, it also is saying that over the last 2 months, there was some energy being projected at us. And now it doesn't necessarily mean negative. Could very well be, though. I'm going to say it. Could very well be. What it means is that there was expansion or energy being put on us or put towards us to swap, whether it's a destiny swap, whether it was a swapping heads. The only other alternative, which is going to ring true for a lot of us, not all of us here are culturally attuned to, magic or craft work. It would be over the last 2 months, there was something to attend to that required us to get to the bottom, use soul's wisdom, explore the depths of our soul. To go within and use soul's wisdom in order to navigate, negotiate a situation, remain present, and participate to Pentacles. So there was something that was already happening that was going on where we needed to attend to because the time it came. The vectors were present. And we were maybe lagging behind. I don't know how I know that yet. But see, going into this next little, okay. So now we have the devil and it's on our side. We were made to cry. Previously, we were the Queen of Cups, and now we are the Queen of Swords. So the thing about the Queen of Swords, before we get to the technical skill, the authority, and absolute authority, the standards and boundaries, intellect, reasoning, communication, the Queen of Swords used to be the Queen of Cups, and then she was made to cry. That's the little secret there. So she now lives out of truth, not just connection. She's no longer unconditionally loving in terms of compassion. She's willing to open up her heart, come with her heart, but only after clarity and truth is there, only after fact has been separated from illusion, and only with intellect, reasoning, communication standards, and boundaries will that thing happen. There's another energy here trying to take massive action. We have a raider. It can be somebody with their sun in Leo, I'll say that. Or said differently, a Leo midheaven would be a Scorpio rising. So we could be dealing with a Scorpio rising as well. But this is a raider, somebody that wants to impress upon us some type of exertion or control, because we're a target in some kind of way, shape, form, or another. They're wanting to receive some type of transmission, maybe our energy, whatever comes out of our ashe, whatever comes out of our spiritual blueprint, whatever comes out of our energy signature. I was feeling like we were bound to an environment surrounding location or to a person, place, or thing. This would mean that we're in a poor union. And the thing with the strength card, when the strength card comes out, just like when the justice card comes out, when the strength card comes out, it means something was the devil. Fear, ignorance, illusion, falsities, binding, giving our power away, stuck in some type of obsession or compulsion, our basal nature, our lower chakras, even our lust body. We could have been also just acting out of free will versus divine will. And both are fine. Free will is when you're making your own decisions, but sometimes when you're chosen, when you have a sacred office, or when you take an oath, that's really frowned upon. It actually could be dangerous. It could revoke certain privileges. There's nothing wrong with free will, especially for a person that's not walking a divine path. Once you know there's a higher calling, though, you need to get in alignment, or you're lacking some integrity. Now, when both of these cards come out, and I'm not getting it, but it's possible. It could mean that somebody is no longer able to suppress their anger, their rage, their unleashing, their rage, their fury, or whatever. That's not what I'm getting, but that can be. With the Strength card and this Page of Wands, we could also have somebody with their Venus in the fifth or seventh house or in Leo. So that's a lot of self-interest, or said differently, a lot of magnetism and power. They might need affection, adoration, appreciation, acknowledgement, or praise. There's something at the heart of the matter, and it's related to us. Okay, it's not good. I'm sorry, it's not. Because this is saying that we were volunteer to distribute, but we're being targeted right now because we're being unreasonable. Whatever they're doing is not working, and they're trying to impose or make us comply to being a lamb out for slaughter. I need to go because this reading turned negative really quick. So I can see why the Lionsgate is here, because we're going to be unbroken, unbinded. I'll just do a little invocation really quick. Um, get a candle out, a white candle preferably. Get a bowl of water, a white bowl or a clear bowl. If you can put like a sprinkle of mustard seed or even a sprinkle of salt. I use charcoal derived out of coconut husk. And I also use other things like white chestnut, bitters, basically. White chestnut, black walnut. And I get a cinnamon stalk and I swirl the water that I was talking about, filled with those herbs, backwards, counterclockwise. And I just say, into the blue part of the candle, I unbind, I unravel, I unlock, I unblock, I untether, I uncouple, I unveil, I uncross. One more time. I unbind, I unravel, I unblock, I unlock, I untether, I uncouple, I unveil, I uncross. I recall, I reclaim, I return to rightful owner. I command the energy stolen from me quickly return to me, and decree anyone who took my luck will return it to me with interest. I decree those who took my energy will return it to me double. I declare only my own karma. I rebuke, I revoke, I rescind, I reject, I repel, I reverse. I decline times 9, I negate times 4, I shut the gate, I close the door. And say that with intention and just sit in the energy. It's not about doing magic or brujeria, santeria. It's about letting the spirits, the ancestors, and whatever protective angels we have communicate to us. And whatever impressions we get, take it to prayer. I forget the Bible verse, but I was hearing the one that says, it's the blood that remembers. It's the brother's blood that cries out or whatever. Let's look into the Bible. Let me pause for a second. Oh, darling, my apologies. It's Genesis 4:10, and it's Abel and Cain. So, what I was getting, I was picking up, and I was watering it down. Thankfully, so because I don't want to step into the energy. But it's Cain and Abel. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. So if I told you black walnut husk or white chestnut husk, and and I don't mean to wag with my finger, and that white mustard seed, use whatever you have. Salt and a little bit of cinnamon will work. A little bit of camphor and water will work. I like to use blue anil. But the thing is, I'm feeling, since we're being volunteered as tribute to the dark, that's why I was seeing the kind of clockwise, open up a hole in the universe and shove them through it, and then take it right to prayer and go take a bath. I'm not saying do magic or whatever. I'm saying, like, what did I say? What was I getting? I am bind, I unravel, I unlock, I unblock, I untether, I uncouple, I unveil, I uncross. That's I recall, I reclaim, I return to rightful owner, I call back my destiny, I call back my name, I call back the calling of my life, I call back the ordination on my head. So that's revoking, reestablishing, reclaiming the oath of sacred office, because that's also what it was saying. There's an oath of sacred office, and the reason why some kind of energy is working that's been being put on us for the last 2 months is because there's something spiritual, and I'm not saying God, maybe, hope so, but maybe, whatever interface, whatever technology you use to interface with higher power, something that we normally do, prayer or meditation or charity or humility or whatever that we normally do, we haven't been doing as much for the last few months. And something that the enemy, whatever that looks like, whatever opposing or counterpart energy that we're dealing with, their little orchestrations, their little machinations, their little schemes, their little cons, it's making its way inside. The evil eye, the attachment, it's beginning to work, or it was. It did also say that we just came out of it. Okay. Something was beginning to work and now it's not. Because we were almost bound to something and it almost tried to swap places with us, meaning give us their negative karma or their stank face attitude or whatever they were manifesting because they were too stuck on stupid or unable to, since they were living in, they were off target and they weren't doing the work to get on target. That's really what sin means, to miss the mark. They were under illusion, delusion, confusion, and we were living righteously. We were highly blessed, favored, chosen, and anointed. We were full of love, full of grace, full of humility, full of temperance, and they were not. And so they were like, I want to be you and you be me, Cain and Abel. Like, why did you looking at us counting our, because that's the first thing I said when we opened up the channel. Somebody is here counting our favors, counting our blessings, checking what we're doing, counting our steps. They got their eyes on us. Okay. So this is also the Lionsgate portal. We're getting an extra push spiritually to stand up, to stand strong, to come through, to pull through, to stand on business. And if this reading went in a cross way for you, not every reading is like that. And it's an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. Until we read again, until we meet again, namaste, dandavat, and ashe. Sayonara, das vidani, aveda zain. Just a little quick piece of housekeeping. Sometimes the readings go long, sometimes they go slow, sometimes there's pauses, whatever, what have you, so on and so forth. So I've created 2 resources for us. There's 2 resources for us. One of them I've created. One of them, you can increase the playback speed or slow it down. It's somewhere in the player settings for the video. You'll need to click through the platform. And then also in the show notes or the about section or the description box, depending on the platform, there should be a link between the hums and hands. Usually, not always, that link is to a summary. And the summary will be for what we talked about today. If there's actionable items that I talked about, you could do it as well. But that's the thing that I would want to do. The last thing that I would do would be to get a candle, anything better than a tea light, and light the candle, and there should be a blue part of the flame. That's where the angels live. Okay. And get a bowl of water, a white bowl or a clear bowl, and get a cinnamon stick or even a celery stick, okay? We don't always have every supply that I talk about. This is my life, so I got it all. But, you can even get a chopstick, okay? And you want to do counterclockwise and just say, I am bind, I unravel, I unlock, I unblock, I untether, I uncouple, I unveil, I uncross, I decline times 9, I negate times 4, I shut the gate, I close the door, I rebuke, I repel, I revoke, I rescind, I reject, I reverse, I recall, I reclaim, I return to rightful owner, I call back the calling of my life, the destiny of my life, I call back the calling of my name, and I call back the ordination. Okay. And then sit and let the subtle messages come through, and then take that to prayer, and then go take a bath. Okay. We need to do that. And remember, I said we have about a few days after the full moon. All right. So the thing with the new moon is you're calling energy in, it's setting an intention. And the thing with the full moon is it's the revolving door. You're like sweeping things away that have served their purpose. So, a lot of us are a little bit off the mark when we deal with the moon and the full moon. Yes, the full moon does great things, like charging crystals and, enchanting water and stuff like that. But in terms of manifestation cycles, it's better to manifest around the new moon. So if we're taking a bath, it's best to do it the days on and leading away from the full moon. It's just a few days though. It's really, you have a 2.5 day period right around the full moon to do that energy. And do it at any time, especially now, up until the 9th of August. Okay. Talk to you soon. Take good care. It's an honor and a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. We'll resume our scheduled program and get to some of the more airy-fairy communication soon. I love you so much. Take good care, darling. Bye-bye.